Thank you all for your attendance this morning at short notice. We'll introduce the top table, Sporting Director Ian Blease and Chief Executive Gary Hetherington. Gary will say a brief few words to start with, and then we'll be open for questions. The event is being live streamed. What we'll do is, after a short period of time, we'll end the live stream so that we can have embargo questions for the media after that. Gary, would you like to introduce things?
Yeah, thanks Phil. Thanks everybody for coming this morning. It's been a pretty eventful time, eventful last few weeks for us here at Headingley and Leeds Rhinos, with the sad passing, of course, of Rob Burrow, with the game against Castleford here at Headingley, with the appointment of Ian Blease, with the trip to Hull FC last week, and just only yesterday the departure of Rowan Smith. So a pretty eventful time. A lot's been happening, and of course I think the key focus this morning is Rowan's departure and the search for a new head coach, which we'll be able to answer questions on. And perhaps if I start by opening it up and asking for questions.
Gary, just elaborate a little bit for us on why you thought a change needed to be made.
Well, as I say, it's been an eventful time. I think it's fair to say several reasons. Since Ian's appointment, there's been meetings with Ian and Rowan and myself and Rowan and myself and Ian. All three of us have been meeting on a fairly regular basis, and it's fair to say that over the course of the season, results have been disappointed by our own expectations and fairly inconsistent as well in that regard. I think that our last two performances and results have been indicative of that. And I know certainly from Rowan's point of view, we were particularly keen that tomorrow night against Lee, the focus should be on the Rob Burrow tribute, and the focus should be on the Rhinos fans getting behind the Rhinos team and helping it to secure a good performance, and not necessarily about anything else. And that was a particular key focus of Rowan's. So it was generally felt that a change was necessary at this moment in time, and that decision was reached mutually and very amicably.
So, just reading between the lines of that statement, it would suggest that Rowan facilitated the parting to make it less of a distraction ahead of Friday. Would that be the case, and does that show the character of Rowan?
What's right to say is that it was very amicable conversations, very open and honest conversations, and yes, we arrived at an outcome, and that's not always the case in delicate discussions, but you know, I would just certainly pay tribute to Rowan, his integrity, his general interest not only in himself, in fact not in himself in actual fact, but in the club and the club's welfare, in the fact that the Rob Burrow tribute and everything that goes with it. And you know, that's testament to the man himself.
How would you quantify Rowan's contribution then to the team over the last 2 years?
Quite significant, and sometimes, you know, team performances and results can mask the actual situation. You know, when a team's winning on a regular basis, everybody thinks everything in the organisation is pretty good, and it might not be. And conversely, if the first team are not winning on a regular basis, everybody thinks that everything's chaotic and a shambles, and once again, it might not be. So Rowan was with us just over 2 years. It's fair to say he inherited a very difficult situation. The team was second from the bottom of the Super League, and we had a pretty disjointed rugby league operation in many respects. And Rowan had quite a remarkable first season. Took the team to the grand final, which was quite a remarkable achievement. Last season was always going to be a difficult one. I think we got 13 of our players coming out of contract, but in many ways that was the start of the journey of putting together his squad and the squad that he would have going forward with. And that was very much the case for this season. There was quite a lot of changes made to the squad this season. A lot of changes have been made to the backroom staff, and that's in a pretty good shape now in terms of the player development side and all the sort of supporting sections of a rugby league department. And Rowan has been instrumental in that change. And when I talk about him doing some really good stuff behind the scenes, that's what I'm referring to. We're in a pretty good shape in that regard. We'll get even better now that Ian's on board, of course. And you know, part of Ian's brief is to have a good look at everything that we're doing. It's a fresh pair of eyes. To have a look at everything that we're doing and where can we improve in every aspect. And there's some areas that we need to improve quite a lot, and other areas probably we're doing okay. But certainly, in terms of Rowan's contribution, he certainly leaves our organisation in much better shape than what he found. I think that's always an indicator as to somebody's contribution that they may have made to a team and a club. And you know, Rowan has certainly made a contribution. It's disappointing that our results have not gone the way that we and he hoped they might do this season, but certainly his contribution has been quite a significant one.
I'll ask you about his successor or potential successor in a moment. Ian, could I just get your thoughts on what's been an eventful first week in your post? How's it been for you, and what sort of input did you have in Rowan's departure?
Yeah, I think as Gary said, it has been an eventful week, eventful first few days. When I first sat down with Rowan, you know, we had a discussion, various discussions with Gary and back to Rowan, and we decided to obviously mutually part, which was difficult. Obviously, it's never easy. But I'll always make the decisions for the best of the club. That's what I'm here to do. And we arrived to that decision pretty quickly once we started to talk a bit. So, and I pay respects to Rowan, as Gary said, he's done a tremendous job while he's been here. Having said that, this year performances aren't where they should be. This club expects to be at the top of the league we need to get to. I recognise that pretty quickly. Hence why we did the mutual review.
Gary, what sort of person do you need to come in now and pick up where Rowan left off?
Well, Ian's going to be leading that search, and it's always a difficult one because being a head coach of a Super League team, and indeed any team in any sport, is a difficult job. It's a very difficult job, and there's all sorts of pressures, and sport is like no other business. Sport, we all live in a goldfish bowl existence. Every decision that we make is analysed and scrutinised and often criticised. That's the difference between sport and other businesses. Sport is a business, but it's very different to most others. And the role of the head coach is quite a significant one. Clearly, the person's got to be able to coach, but there's so many more qualities required for one to be successful. And especially at a club like Leeds, there's a high expectation, as indeed there is at other clubs as well. So it's a person with special qualities and ideally experience of having done the job. That task falls to Ian. He's going to be leading that search. I've no doubt that there'll be quite a bit of interest in the job. It's a job that many people would aspire to, and so would like him to do so. There's no time scale on when that all needs to be completed by. It's important that obviously we make the right appointment, and that's the most significant challenge that Ian's got.
Have you had expressions of interest already?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there will be. Yeah, there has, and you know, it's all dealt with in the most confidential manner possible. And as I said, it's a tough challenge to actually come across the right person, the right fit, and you know, Ian will be performing that search and making recommendations, and that's what will take us forward.
Ian, is this a search that will take in down under as well?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's one area that I'm keen to explore. Yeah.
And obviously, Paul Rowley would be linked with this post, whether you were here or not, Ian, but you are here now. Can you understand why people might link him with this post, and is there any potential in that, do you feel?
I think, like Gary said, you know, we're big on confidentiality in this process. It's early, it's only just started, there's no time scale on it. Talented coaches interest me. Paul will be one of them, obviously. You know, his name has been bantered about by you guys for a while now, so... but nothing's happened yet. We are concentrating on tomorrow, the old adage, one game at a time, which is what the boys are doing outside, and the coaching staff that are in the interim now, taking over Shevin Grixie, so that'll be good for me to watch them. They're talented. So I've got no preconceived ideas who it will be. I'll do a thorough research on it all. Yes, applications are coming in as we speak, but I'll make sure we do the job properly.
How patient are you prepared to be?
Yeah, pretty patient, but I'm aware of the needs on that pitch. That the club will be judged off the back of the performances like they are now, and we need to move up the table, and that means if it means bringing coach in quickly or in the interim, I might look at that. But all avenues are open at the moment.
Just finally from me, I just want to ask you, Gary, about what to expect on Friday night, because obviously it's going to be quite an emotional occasion. Well, not quite emotional, a very, very emotional occasion. What do you think Friday night's going to look like here?
I think it'll be a terrific sporting occasion, and so it should be. Jeff Burrow, I was with Jeff when he was speaking to some members of the press the day after Rob passed away, and he was telling them that he very vividly remembers bringing Rob to his first ever game. Of course, Jeff is a lifelong Leeds fan, and he brought him to his first game, and it was Leeds versus Lee at Headingley. And at the time, Rob would be about 5 years of age. And he distinctly remembers it because Rob thought he was cheering for the wrong team because the names sound similar. Jeff had to explain that wasn't going to be the case. So it's quite ironic in some respects that it is Leeds versus Lee tomorrow night. And of course, we're playing against a very strong Leeds team. I think the game is significant in itself. We've got two teams desperate to win, but the occasion itself has been bringing together pretty much a capacity crowd. It's bringing together people who perhaps have not been to Headingley for quite a number of years. I think they're all coming to pay their respects to Rob Burrow for his contribution to rugby league, his contribution as a person, his contribution to MND as well. So it's been very significant, and I think his passing, and indeed before his struggle with MND and the support he's had from such as Kevin Sinfield and a whole host of others, has in many ways been quite remarkable. It's certainly brought rugby league together. We've had so many fans and former players from different clubs come down and pay their respects. It's brought other sports together, it's brought politicians together, it's brought the whole nation together like no other. And I think it's certainly put rugby league in the national spotlight, which like I can never remember before. So there's so much significant factors that's been related to this, and of course tomorrow is an opportunity when people can come to the game, pay their respects to an iconic rugby league player and an iconic person, and a great family as well, because I think the way that the Burrow family have managed this very difficult situation is great credit to them. So we as Leeds Rhinos were hosting the event, and we want to give it the due respect that it deserves. It's an event for not only Leeds Rhinos but for rugby league and indeed all sport, and it'll have a good audience, and hopefully we'll also have a very good game to go with it as well.
Thank you both. Good luck tomorrow.
Will either of you travel overseas? I know, Gary, when you did the Rowan appointment, you went to Australia. Will either of you be travelling to Australia to speak to people?
All this has happened pretty quickly, so there's no stone that will be left unturned. So we will consider whatever might assist in making the right decision will be considered and provided. So the answer is could well do.
You mentioned potentially an interim coach here, and is that something you would consider if you can't get the man that you want until next season? Would you bring someone in to do it on an interim basis for the rest of the season if that was the best course?
Yeah, I think I said that, Matt. But that's a consideration that when I get to that stage, I'll judge it, I guess. Yeah. It's on the table as such, yeah. Of course it is.